doing a shot of me smiling so I can get a still shot if I have to. I'm always like this. And when I try and get a screenshot. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. We are featuring tonight Linda Wlodyka. Give her a round of applause. And we are going to be on a hiatus next week. And we're coming right back with another feature on July 17th. Is there going to be a concluding feature in July? I don't know. I've been running around a lot preparing for my internet deprivation is all I'm going to call it right now. More updates will sporadically happen, but I can't control that. But we have some amazing poetry to go through, and I'm glad this is my last gasp going public. Oh yes, on July 17th, Gabby Gilliam, another member of the Old Scratch Press crowd. Thanks to Robert Fleming for this for his recommendation. She'll be featuring on July 17th. That information will be out. Hopefully the flyer will be up later on tonight. And more will be announced as we progress. Hopefully we're going to have more announcements for August and for the rest of the month. It's been kind of a crazy month just because of personal health and just dealing with other issues. I'm finally caught up at work, dealing with things like that, and hopefully some poetry announcements coming for the rest of the year, because I really feel that it's important to keep that going and hopefully to bring back a live gathering or two before the year ends. But for now, we're going to get to the open mic before we get to the feature. Thanks to everyone who came tonight. Thanks to everyone who is listening tonight. For those of you who are new to this and seeing this on my Facebook for the first time, we do this nearly every Wednesday from 7 to 9. Check out stonesoupoetry.blogspot.com or check the pinned. We have 6 months. Thanks, John. We meet most Wednesdays 7 to 9. And we'll hopefully be reconvening live at least one more time. I got a lot of people to catch up with and hopefully some live shows to propose. Want to get that done. So let's try and get it done. Our first open micer tonight is Richard Spizak, whose work has been a welcome addition to Oddball, not just his poetry, but his art. He's been illustrating a series of chapters on what's called an ethical treatise by David Stephen Joseph Sills. Those are all four of those are his real name. He has four first names. I always get them mixed up. And though that is a series that's been going on a regular basis at Oddball Magazine, generally published one chapter a month. And Richard's been nice enough to illustrate them. And I'm very happy for his work. His next chapter will probably come up on the 15th. And Richard, I'll be sending you the chapter for that.
Happy to help.
And enough of me rambling. Let's get to Richard's poems.
Okay, a couple pieces here for you. This first one is a small tribute to the Supreme Court. It's called Absolute Immunity. Such raging impunity beyond Emperor Charlemagne's sympathetic congruity as he sits and occasionally shits on his golden throne flying from Mar-a-Lago to Bangor, Maine. Old King John hoped for such similar largesse, but who's surprised that Drummond caused exactly and precisely this kind of mess. He announced from the very beginning he only likes elections when he's guaranteed winning. He initially and suspiciously announced to a paid group of actors he'd cashier the Constitution. It just wasn't a factor. Promoting lawlessness, you've seen his criminal cronies. He'd stripped the justice system right down to the bare bonies. He announced he's constrained by no actual law. He can do any crime, take anyone's time, steal anything he saw. Not only will the people let it pass, but he thinks no more of killing a human being than passing some gas. The ancient paradigm of how to constrain the royals, not only will they do whatever they want, but if there's anything left, they'll steal the spoils. They'll steal all the cash in any trade deal. He wants to grab it all, and you better not squeal. He's prepared to commit any crime because he's divinely selected. He thinks it's his time. And his sons and his daughters are simply biding their time. They expect his throne will fall into their hands. Unless we get out and vote and democracy foils their plans, they denounce voting without any evidence and will try again to derail democracy with January 6th as a violent precedent. Another one here for you. I hope you find this one a little more amusing. Speaking of skunks, Let's see here. We've got, oh, shucks, that one's not there. Then let me just go to this tree hugging. By the way, you know that in many countries across the globe, there are actually tree hugging competitions. So this is a salute to the tree hugging champion. The noble upright stalk, the bark protects the delicate core, the miracle both concealed and revealed in the roots that's real. The lush and living canopy, like so many hungry flags buoyed on the living air, give us sustenance of fruit, of shade, of beauty. Grant us peace and pleasure, the generous shade, the sweet and powerful nuts, the generous fruit, the sharp, pungent needles, how we cling through and with your strength, how we're made stable by your unbending height, how we're taught by your flexibility in the mad and merry winds of time, that you shelter us, we are stronger, that you feed us, we give strength, that you stand through the night and the storm, we too are proud. And when you fall, you yet nourish those around you. We gain grace and eternity. I hope you are all, like me, a championship tree hugger. And the last one, I'll leave you with something maybe a little drier. Robot chefs prepare my food. What are they cooking? Something good. Robot chefs in the kitchen, what's up with that? Is there no one with them? They tried for ordering an AI menu, but they made more mistakes than a serious kid from BYU. Your Starbucks coffee has reached solid ground for AI. Their deep brew program has a suggestion or two. You'll see why. It seems they've thought of you. Zune Pizza use AI in food prep. To see that coming, you needn't be a Himalayan adept. Innovation in food prep from AI then, Austrian chocolate cream burritos and Vietnamese apple kebabs are projects of AI wisdom. And there's an AI powered personal dietitian. Eat your broccoli, don't ignore your spinach, just like grandma's mockery. You might still be quite resistant. Pope Francis declared AI an affront to human dignity, but as he said it, nearby a robot bot recited the rosary. And with human labor replaced in droves, who perform the awful pilgrimages? Will it be drones? Thank you so much.
Little known fact, Richard's first poem about absolute immunity was actually quoted in the arguments of the Supreme Court. Look for Richard's next poem. P.S. I was just fucking kidding. It was a goddamn joke. Sorry, I'm gonna be on this for a long time. Let's which reminds me, if you guys have things you want to fucking get off your chest in a timely fashion, poetry wise, Patricia Carrigan was recently published in New Verse News. You should check that out. They accept political poetry in a timely fashion, often publishing some poems based on an event 1 to 2 days after it happened. The editor, James Penna, is very fast on his feet. If you guys have any other suggestions,
What was that
let
publication
us know.
again?
What's that? New
What
Verse
was
News.
New Verse News? Okay.
Yep. Let's actually hear from Patricia Carrigan.
I might as well read it. Here it is. So, debatable haiku. Old white men debate. Commentaries escalate. Flags fly upside down. Old white men debate. Commentaries escalate. Flags fly upside down. Let me read the other stuff. Okay, I just wrote this today. Wake Up Alone, inspired by Amy Winehouse. Life wasn't Dick and Jane. Their parents weren't hers. Their smiles as ungenuine as aspartame. Being solo wasn't her intention. The girl's parents unconsciously trained her to walk corridors alone, dodge the bullies, wear second-rate protection at school. She did learn to read, but not to think. Programmed from TV and books, she wished upon a fake star and ate shoved up pipe dreams from Disney, not Grimm. When life threw rotten tomatoes, no fairy godmother came to her defense. It took years for her to develop. She learned to keep busy, forget those scars behind her name, and her fate of waking up alone. History and religion were subjective. Too many lies, cover-ups, omissions, and interpretations. Her place of business was no different. and relationships just as tainted. She pulled off the sheets. His scent lingered like his lies, his loss of interest, his quick departure. No detergent could erase his deceit. She placed the sheets in a bag, brought it downstairs to be trashed. She kept busy and remade her bed. Moonlight bathed her room. Her eyes created tiny puddles on Egyptian cotton sheets. Another lesson learned, another scar added to her name. She retired for the night. Her fist hit the pillow before feathers flew for her satisfaction. Want me to read another?
Okay. You're on a roll.
Okay. No Me Quitte Pas, inspired by Nina Simone. Letting go was hard to do. The misunderstandings, the times best forgotten, the triple swords embedded into their hearts. Happiness was born a caterpillar, destined to pass time inside a cocoon, emerge as fleeting moments before its demise. There were reasons for why this happened. The sudden planetary shift, the heart and mind in retrograde, the messed up soul contracts that got renewed, exotic pearls made from rainwater and golden summer days couldn't support a fantasy world. Passion disappeared into ash. Songs and laughter disappeared into the sun. The sun disappeared with the queen. The king's shadow disappeared into darkness. History repeated itself, and the king must die again. Thanks again, guys. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. And you kind of stumbled on a way to read that poem, to perform the poem. Just you say it 3 times instead of 2, and every time you say it, you repeat it, you say it louder. 2 old white men. It'd be great if you even had like an old white person sitting right next to you. They go, what? What? You know, why not? I've been in a mood, people. I'm sorry. Let's
wait till the next debate.
what? What? 2 old white people? What? Yes.
Jill, Dr. Jill took him off the stage. The yellow walked out like it was ready to go into a wrestling match.
Oh, God. Oh boy! Unfortunately, Donald Trump would have the advantage. He's actually wrestled a Rosie O'Donnell impersonator for the WWE. I'm sad I know this. Let's go now. We gotta go serious now. Let's go to Mr. Edward S. Galt, aka Magister Galt.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My new book came out. I posted a picture of it in the chats. And if it's okay, I'd like to read a couple of them from the book here tonight, relatively short ones. This first one is called The Things They Did. We read about them today. They went to work and came home to their families. They went out to dinner and went to the movies, took walks. They wrote poetry, went camping, and had dreams about the lake and the way the moon's reflection looked in it. Sometimes they had their photos taken. Their pictures line the walls of galleries today. They didn't know that then, though. They were taking their family walks, tossing their children up in the air. They blew candles out on birthday cakes. They dreamed of their vacation on the beach of some foreign port. Many just stayed home and played in their yards. Some had pictures in the park where they enjoyed the sun on their face on such a nice day. Then the police came one night and took them all away. And that was called The Things They Did. And this next one will be the last one. It's called The Trial. She stood before the judge and told him how the man had confronted her on the sidewalk. He had threatened to throw acid in her face if she did not do exactly as he told her to do. Frightened, she ran down the street into a side alley where she had hoped to lose him, but he was faster. Um, he shoved her down and ripped through her clothing and raped her there. She said it seemed to last for hours. Nobody came to help her. She looked up to the judge. He looked to the man sitting passively at a nearby table. He motioned to the jury. They deliberated and came back. Guilty, they pronounced. The judge then pronounced the sentence. At that time, the woman was taken out and stoned. It's a little something to think about for next year, Project 2025.
Hmm.
Thank you very much for your attention tonight.
Thank you, Edward.
Thank you.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
bring us now to, we have someone I haven't seen here, at least for a while, if not before, if before. Jamie, would you be interested in reading for us tonight on the open mic?
Oh, no, thank you. Not tonight.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay, well, good. Glad you're here. Let's see who we go to next. Let's go to Jillian Matthews. Good to have you back after a bit. There you go. You
Right.
might need screen share. I know you use it sometimes, so there you go. You should be open to it now.
Thank you. Couple of old ones. This is called Atlas. That's my dad. Uh, my father was a surveyor, a maker of maps. I never knew I would become one too, but a mapper of my own heart, a surveyor of my own human folly, outlining the contours of my brokenness, untangling the lines of elevation from the depressions. Finding out that no matter whatever hill I conquer, there's always another mountain to roll that rock up, another imagined weight of the world on my shoulders to lift, another mound under my feet of unrealized expectations. The dirt below awaiting my return, the worms plotting and parceling out the topography of my insides on an atlas no one will ever see.
Hmm.
And this
Wonderful.
is called Peninsula. Thank you. This is called Peninsula. Um, wow, it's been 6.5 months since I stopped drinking. No, you're not trapped on an island, and this is not an episode of Survivor. You're not a starved person awaiting a TV rescue. There are no coconuts and rocks to roll to spell a big SOS for passing planes to spot, nor a fire to keep feeding to scare predators away. You're not alone, nor talking to a volleyball as your only friend. Feel that. It isn't sand. It's just your salty tongue wrapped around the man. Every man someday comes upon a bitter atoll of his own making when he washes up on his own forgotten shore, not recognizing the contours of his uncharted self. Landfall hits hardest those who never knew their ships were always leaking, who long ago buried the treasure of their trauma in an unmarked grave and turned every Friday into a repetitive attempt at drowning. But there were always others who waited patiently for your return, flinging messages out in emptied bottles so you could one day find your way back here. No, it isn't home, nor an island. It's a peninsula connecting the disconnected to an entire continent of healing. So you aren't alone. You're never alone. Acceptance is the sea that brought you here. Be grateful for its discovery, your own recovery, and try once again. to be nice to the natives. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Jillian. Let's see. Let's go now to, oh, Mr. Bob Reeves. Would you like to read?
Sure. I'll read 2 poems. First one is called Octopus, and epigraph that you probably know very well from T.S. Eliot. Humankind cannot bear very much reality. Sooner or later, you'll have to deal with the octopus. You'll find it stuck to a chair in the hallway or stuck to a wall of your room, never in the same place twice, and never anywhere for very long. It'd be nice if you knew whether or not it was looking at you, but you can't be sure. All it does is change color, and the colors never seem to mean the same thing. There might be a briny smell in the vicinity right before you see it. There might be the sound of a suction cup coming loose or being affixed. The sounds are similar. The only thing left to talk about is yourself. Will you want to cover your face? Will you stick out your chin defiantly? Will you make your apologies to everyone else in the room? Promise to do something at the first opportunity? Finally, are you ready for it to disappear? What will happen to your house, your life, without the octopus in it? And this one is called The Dreamless. And let me say, I have nothing against one-night stands on principle. Merely an almond of springy green ice that rode her breath, now bouncing behind the scoop at her neck's base, now warbling onto the rear of her tongue. Merely selected sight, selected touches she followed in her. But he was following shine on kneecap and ankle, the lamp not near enough. He was far from an electrician, could not rearrange the wiring in the walls. Merely the dull flannel sheet receiving the back, cold white back, the white of game pausing in headlights. Wistfulness for southern skin, merely swung shimmer where metal on it slicks the dark, so warm in its slick steam comes off it. But he was losing the smell of her hair from smelling it too deeply, and to clear a way back, he shifted snorting to the side away from her. Merely a simmer now of the loud light in the beer glass, the lost count of whose round it should be, the slyer and slyer, ruder and tenderer topics, and whatever other earth brew this night morning. Merely the hiss of a wish it weren't so late to ship him off so she can sleep away one more bad move. But he is learning her by heart, and tomorrow beats in him like the pulse in a torn tooth, when he will wear her to the world like a badge. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Sorry, would you be interested in reading tonight?
Yes, thanks.
Oh, excellent. And what's your full name?
Sari Krasinski.
Oh, very good. And by all means, read away. You have.
I just have one poem tonight. The Welcoming Committee. I think they yelled homo, or perhaps it was ohm or home, someone hollered from a speeding window as I walked along the tall iron fence along the naval base before I turned down this quiet street and sat on this bench to talk to my notebook. While the moss picked satellite between cobblestones, I transformed the indifferent gift of hollered wit through the alchemy of incomprehension. Was this the call of longing for home, for peace, for natural order? The anger when home, peace, natural order become a question? Do I always have to be the questions no one wants to answer? I am like this moss, lost to home, to peace, to natural order, fit only to fly on wild winds, to root in specks of earth, to encrust the predictable concrete with life in all its chaos, to be soaked and sated and washed away in the next rain. A passel of school children passes chattily behind me. Someone has told them they can be whoever they want to be, as long as they button their shirts on the correct side. Perhaps they are telling each other now.
Excellent. I don't think I remember hearing you before. So congratulations for an excellent debut. I hope we see you again. And if you could spell your name in the comments section, I'd appreciate that. I am very bad spelling things phonetically. Anyway, let's go now to Remninator has chosen Mr. John Wesick.
Thank you, Chad. You know, it's hard enough tracking down that enriched uranium that's been stolen, but FBI agent Claire Danforth is married to a husband who beats her. Her son's a neo-Nazi. She's having an affair with her partner. And her boss wants her to investigate the Red Cross instead. So this is Sledgehammer Ex Machina. I got a lead, Amatori said. Turns out George Snood's parents took in Jimmy Loesch as a foster child. That Jimmy Loesch? Danforth downed her 14th triple espresso and was only a little past 6 a.m. Now that the Red Cross was Bellicose's priority, she and Amatori had to search for the real suspect during the hours between 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. One and the same. Rumor has it he and George are still tight. Loesch spends most of his time at his club, the Zircon G-String, which means his home should be vacant. Unfortunately, Bellicose will never give us a search warrant. Let's roll, Danforth grabbed her purse. Loesch lived in a two-story Italianate home with bay windows next to the covered doorway. Even though it was July, he had yet to take down his Christmas lights. Search the ground floor. Danforth put the lockpick into the slot and soon the front door was open. I'll check upstairs. She tiptoed up the stairs and checked several bedrooms before she found a home office with an amazing reproduction of Vermeer's The Concert hung on the wall. Danforth pressed enter on the laptop atop Loesch's mahogany desk. The computer prompted her for a username and password. She tried guest, Loesch, J. Loesch, and Jimmy L, along with password and 12345 before the laptop let her in. It then prompted her to synchronize cloud storage, set a default browser, and finish installing Windows 11. As Danforth opened Loesch's email, she heard a gunshot. She rushed downstairs and found Amatori standing over an 80-year-old man sprawled next to a walker on the hardwood floor. Blood soaked his pajamas, and the tube feeding oxygen into his nostrils had come undone. I had to do it, Amatori said. He was going for his gun. We are so screwed. Danforth looked around. With no search warrant, they couldn't explain what they were doing there. All right, let's make it look like a burglary gone wrong. Danforth retrieved Amatori's shell casings. Grab the silverware and let's bolt. When she got home around midnight, Danforth found divorce papers on the kitchen table, along with a post-it note that said, "Sign or I'll take full custody of Ned Jr." The agreement gave her husband the house, child support, and half of her salary. Pretty bad, huh? Ned Jr. had come down the stairs wearing the silk boxers he slept in. Things would go a lot better if I testified that Dad beat you, but you'll have to do something for me first. I'm here to see road rash. Danforth scanned a half-dozen bikes in the motorcycle garage. The air smelled of motor oil and exhaust fumes. I'm road rash. Wrench still in his hand, a man in a sleeveless t-shirt stood from behind a Harley. Tattoos and swastikas and eagles covered his arms. Is there somewhere we can talk? Danforth asked. He led her out back by the dumpster and lit a cigarette. What do you want? If it's sex, you'll have to pay me. Ned Danforth said you need a favor. Ha! You're the FBI chick. In that case, you don't have to pay me. Road Rash laughed and broke into a coughing fit. Here's the deal, honey. The Visigoth's got a rat problem, and that rat's name is Alan Beeman. At least that's what he told us. Turns out he's an undercover FBI agent. All you have to do is find out where this rat has his cage, and we'll do the rest. It might take a little time, Danforth said. Better hurry, honey. If you leave rats too long, the problem tends to multiply. Got a minute, Agent Danforth? Detective Campanella asked by the entrance to the field office. And by the way, Campanella is the detective who arrested Danforth's neo-Nazi son. In his dark suit, he reminded Danforth of an undertaker trying to sell her a 14-karat gold urn to transport the cremains of some second cousin to a scattering in his ancestral homeland of Turkmenistan. I'm a little busy. It'll just take a minute. Campanella grabbed Danforth's elbow. Come on, I'll buy you a coffee. He led her to a mid-century modern diner a few doors away. The building had a sloped roof, cantilevered over plate glass windows, and a sign that said Dottie's. They took a booth in the back, and a waitress appeared carrying a carafe of coffee. What can I get you, hon? You got breakfast all day, right? I'll have 4 eggs, 4 pancakes, 4 bacon, 4 sausages, and 4 slices of toast. Campanella closed the menu and looked at Danforth. You? Just coffee, thanks. You familiar with Carlo Bianchi? Campanella asked after the waitress left. Danforth nodded. Of course you are. Campanella dumped 4 packs of sugar into his coffee. He's into everything. Numbers, prostitution, drugs. If it's illegal, chances are Bianchi has his fingers in it. He runs a high-stakes poker game out of his nightclub, the Obsidian Coxcomb. Campanella laid grainy 8x10 photos on the table. Take a look at these. They showed Special Agent Nick Amatori at the poker table looking more and more dejected as his losses grew. Then there are these. Campanella showed crime scene photos of the elder Loesch's body. That's Carmine Loesch, father of Jimmy Loesch. I can't prove your partner murdered one of Bianchi's rivals to repay a gambling debt, but he looks dirty to me. Campanella swept up the photos as the waitress brought his breakfast. He poured a gallon of ketchup on his eggs and dug in. So tune in next time for the exciting conclusion of Sledgehammer Ex Machina.
Check out our previous installments from our open mics on the 19th and the 12th. No, wait, that was, when was it? Oh, sorry, the 19th and the 26th. I think we did one on the 12th as well. Check out all of them. Let's welcome up next Mr. Robert Fleming. The permissions for sharing screens has already been applied.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. I was born in Canada, and July 1st is Canada's birthday. I will be doing a visual tribute to my country. On the screen, I'm going to show you a point where I was born was in Montreal. It's on the right side of the screen in Quebec. It's about, I'd say 100 miles southwest of the city of Quebec. And Canada is a bilingual country. I'm going to be sharing a patriotic poem, first in French and then in English. Canada souvient. Le drapeau est rouge comme la santé des premiers 1808 colons d'Acadia, et blanche comme le premier fleur de lis. Dans l'automne, les arbres érables tombent orange et élan boireux. Dans l'hiver, la neige couvre le prairie rose. Dans le printemps, l'arbre érable sève et les castors laissent leur loge. Dans l'été, juillet 1, 1807, Canada est devenu une nation. And now the English version. Canada remembers. The Canadian flag is as red as the blood of the first 1608 Arcadia settlers, and white as the first bloomed fleur-de-lis flower. In fall, maple tree leaves fall orange and moose rot. In winter, snow covers the prairie rose. In spring, maple trees sap and beavers leave their lodges. In summer, July 1st, 1867, Canada became a nation. My last one is a visual poem written for children between the ages of about 6 and 10. It is a tribute to one of Canada's animals, the moose. Schoolhouse poetry. Rocky is outside. Rocky is a squirrel. Today is Saturday. Rocky is on TV. Bullwinkle is a moose. Where's Bullwinkle? Bullwinkle is Rocky's friend. My friend too. Bullwinkle is not outside. Is Bullwinkle on TV? Thank you for letting me do a tribute to my country of birth, Canada.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a segue from that last poet out of my hat. Let's see. Up next, let us go now to a musical interlude from Mr. Ethan Mackler.
Oh, sorry, can I start over? Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Love that. And closing out, we usually have James Van Looy with us. I'm sure he's busy with his humanitarian work. Check out his poem tomorrow in our Thursday poem column. It's all one thing. It is scheduled and ready to go up at 11 o'clock at Oddball Magazine. Check out Oddball Magazine in general. Magister Galt, Ed, had a photo going with today's poem by Jake St. John, located on oddballmagazine.com. So who's going to close out instead of Bill? Well, who can be as solemn and sonorous and melodic as he is? Then I couldn't find an answer, so I just said, let's get a crazy person at the end so he can just get the fucking audience's blood pumping. So here's Bill Lewis.
I shall endeavor to do credit to your confidence in me and show a sober and sane presentation that others may be inspired to emulate my elegance and erudition. As you don't remember, I just drove from Idaho out to Wisconsin for my college's 50th reunion and drove back. So it was an exciting time, and can you imagine it? But my committee for my 50th reunion class asked me to be the MC for the formal dinner there right behind me. They asked me to do this. I mean, remember, I am the poster child for on the spectrum. You know, I am sort of the ultimate kid in the 60s, so nerdy, did not do people very well, but all of that. And Toastmasters and chat and poetry have allowed me to find my voice, blah, 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 blah. And so they asked me to do this. And I'm just like, whoa, this is so cool. Yes, I can do this. So this is, of course, the formal dinner here. So I prepared my formal remarks as best I could, wishing to connect with my fellow students and our histories together, stories that we have shared, events that we all know of, et cetera, et cetera. Fellow members of the class of 1974, most honored professors, and most welcome guests. We made it! Who would have thought that we would be the ones? I think we deserve a toast just for surviving. As we return for our 50th reunion in the twilight of our lives, here the audience booed, it is inevitable that we should look at Ripon students today and ask ourselves how their experiences echoed ours or not. You consider those experiences, they shall never know. Man on floor. All the women would squeal, grab the sweaters that they were always drying out in towels on the hallway, retreat to their rooms, locking their doors securely behind them. And then someone would yell, "It's only Bill." Today's students will never know. They couldn't imagine. Penning Mrs. Krupke into her room. Not nice. I know some of you are here today. Bad students. Bad, bad, bad. Thursday dinners and Sunday lunches were formal. In ROTC, we wore our uniforms. Everyone else was in coats and ties and dresses. It was a bit intimidating, but it felt very grown up. When I was teaching at Stanford and Tufts, and the students were presenting their final projects, I would request them to dress for the occasion, and it felt really good. The Raiders were competing in the old gym. our ROTC drill team. They attempted an 8-man front-to-back toss. The toss was slightly off center, and the rear man could not handle the rifle, and it landed on the floor, or should I say more accurately, in the floor. The bayonet stuck 2 inches into the wood, and the rifle stood there perfectly erect, vibrating wildly. I never doubted that the bayonets were real, but yeah, though they're real bayonets. Jackie Vaselli and her guitar. She taught me everything I know about the fascinating witches who put the scintillating stitches in the breeches of the boys who put the powder on the nose of the lady of the harem of the court of Correcticus. And she could speed it up and speed it up and speed it up. Jackie and I took a course on philosophy of logic together from Dr. Seal. Every time we talk, I start off by yelling out, Jackie Vaselli, will you marry me or not? And she replies joyfully, yes, Bill Lewis, I will marry you or not. I want to emphasize Jackie is not the most sane person in the world. She did her PhD thesis in philosophy by going to a Swaziland, one of the internal countries inside of South Africa that's all black. Here is a single white blind woman. She walked through the cane in a completely black enclave, and it worked. She was happy. She did what I don't know how that is possible. That was our ripping past, but what have we accomplished since then? What kind of world are we leaving our kids? How are our kids faring? I was deeply involved with Occupy Wall Street, so I can tell you a great deal of what is wrong with our country and the world, but I can tell you so much more that is good. And as for kids today, let me tell you about your kids. 2017, Hurricane Irma hits Florida. I rent an RV and drive to Naples, where I work with high school volunteers from Samaritan's Purse to dig out houses, repair roofs. It was ugly, smelly, gross. But they didn't complain, they didn't question, they didn't hesitate. They went in, they did the job. And at the end of the day, they smelled like shit, but they had smiles on their faces and pride in their hearts. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of kids that you have produced. So raise your glasses, class of 74, and drink this toast to ourselves. We have truly done our duty. The world is a better place because we have been there, and our remaining years we shall make it even better yet. To the class of 1974, Skål! And everybody raised their glasses and they drank their champagne or whatever the hell. And we had a glorious time, and it was so much fun. And I just loved it. And that's what we did. So there we go.
And then they took his diploma away. Thank you very much, Bill. And thank you to Richard, who has to leave. Hope you feel better, sir. Glad you're with us to kick off the event. And now we're about to kick off the feature. Appreciate the patience of each and every one of you. Although we have had a kind of a wilder discourse than even I predicted. But after the last 7 freaking days, can you blame me? Bringing up the bio boilerplate for our feature tonight. Oh, here we go. Once again, reminder that next week on the 10th, no Stone Soup Gathering. If anyone wants to unofficially go under the banner and pass out a Zoom link, you're more than welcome to. I just will not be able to take part in it. Why do they call it boilerplate? I'd love to know that. And John, you're usually the one who knows the answer. Anyway, I think it's so thick that I think it's just because it's so thick you can actually line a boiler with it. I think that's I thought that's why they called it that. But anyway, and also on July 17th, Gabby Gilliam will be our feature, and hopefully announcement for the closing feature will be made ASAP, which probably means next week, 2 weekends from now. Coming up now, we have Linda Wlodyka, or I should say Linda Bratcher Wlodyka. She is the Massachusetts Beat Poet Laureate, reigning from 2023 to 2025. It's very presumptuous, assuming we're going to have a country by next year. But hey, at least you go out with a bang. She resides in Berkshire County. She has held the position of docking at the Mount Edith Wharton Summer Home in Lenox, Mass. From 2002 to 2006. She retired as an educator from Mount Greylock Regional School District in Williamstown back in 2020. Her poem Secret Cottage was voted best in the Berkshires in 2012. Linda has 3 chapbooks previously self-published: Her Spirited Cameo, Voices from the Blue Room, and TikTok. Her first full-length poetry collection was released back in September of last year. If Brambles Were Bookends, Collected Poems, published by Human Error Publishing. Her poems have been published in several journals and anthologies, both in print and online. She is a member of the Florence Poets Society and has been involved in the reading of submissions for their yearly publication, Silkworm. She's been very busy. I've been meaning to get the book, and I've been meaning to feature her. I'm glad I was able to get the feature happening now, and I promise I'll buy the book later on this month. But for now, more important things. And also, if you have information on buying the book, share it with us in the link, and I'll share it with the group and with Facebook later. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together 40 to 60 times for Linda Wlodyka, virtually or otherwise.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for staying. This is what the book looks like. And I want to say, and I have neglected to say it at many other Zooms, that John Wessex wrote a beautiful blurb in there for me, as well as a woman named Marianne Gambaro from Belchertown, and a beautiful writer from Colorado, Kika Dorsey. So anyway, yes, I was granted a Beat Poet Laureate position because I must have wrote just enough poems to be called a Beat Poet Laureate, because I didn't really know I was a beat poet, but I guess I fall in that category. So this book is really very random. It's a lot of people write a book and it's kind of cohesive and things feed off of each poem, but this is, I think I'm just a random poetry writer to begin with. So no problem. You just write what you feel at the moment. So this one's kind of humorous, and I'm going to start with Loony. I wanted to go. I ran out of time. No one really runs out of time unless they're dead. It was the Loon Place, you know, located within the Marcus Wildlife Center in New Hampshire. I read the brochure. I got the Loon brochure from an information booth near Wares Beach at Lake Winnipesaukee. The Loon Center, as it is referred to, is a 200-acre wildlife center, quite a distance from the information booth, where I ran out of time, yet I was not dead. Now it's still on my bucket list, waiting for another trip, another information booth, another life. I'm adamant that I will get there. It's in Moultonborough, further north of Wares Beach, where I am reading about the loons. The Loon Center explains why their eyes are red, where they go in the winter, how deep loons dive, why their chicks ride on their parents' back, and the fact that loons are not ducks. Will still be open until Indigenous Peoples Day, and I should note that I could still drive there before then if I am not dead or run out of time. This would prevent my bucket list from overflowing with all the should-haves, could-haves, would-haves that I never found time to experience. Furthermore, I need to shop at the Loon Feather Shop, all thing loons and more. I am not dead. I have not run out of time. I should get going. The loons are calling me. In this wild existence, in this wild our cocoon, where dreamers shed tears then rebound, where I proclaim more magic than mysticism. Yet flowers bloom, children play, guardians loom, lend safe haven. My own abilities evolve constantly. Where your hand and mine cross miles between mountains, valleys, longing for touch, more desire that can breach a dam. Where heart blush looks good on paper valentines, where the stick crosses a path, not a hindrance, more than windswept. My own 2 feet continue. I'm in search of the light, not at the end of a tunnel. Instead, where solar rays find cracks, crevices, perforations, seepage for their light. Where imperfections improve like a quality controller gone manic. Where flow, not ebb, sends forth current, spirit's thirst. Where Luna's phantasm surrounds full pink moons, exacting each poet's words. Hieroglyphics perpetual, where future inhabitants peel off their facade, mutter philosophies of sages, the poems we wrote. It is not love, but it contains loveliness. An aura surrounds my state of being like a margin without boundaries. It is pure intoxication. There is sunlight, breezes, and the gentle sound of water. It is not love, but it contains loveliness. I feel its caress against my cheek. It mesmerizes like an eternal flame. It is a vibrating presence. Its atmosphere is silvery blue. Instead of clouds, I see feathers aloft. Steady like a continuum, I hear humming. The pitch changes with the volume. I see shapes evolve, then dissolve. I am lifted into a rainbow's arc. I feel wet drops on my hand. It is comforting. I remain in my aura. Neither stupefied nor amazed, I exist with hopes. I will never enter reality again. So the namesake poem for the book was If Brambles Were Bookends. It's a bit of a rant about one poet being a little critical of, it appears to be their lover, who is another writer. If Brambles Were Bookends. If brambles were bookends, my hand would gingerly slide 3 leather-bound volumes of your original poetry books off your shelf. Each word I read aloud would place emphasis on your interpretation, never mine. This shelf of mesmerism shared by bibliophiles, poets, sages, wordsmiths, etymologists, and those indulging in brambles is a stoic shelf, not meant to cast doubt. One might inquire as to its architectural stature, its organic origins, its ability to protect itself. Like poison ivy, it innately lies in wait for its victim. Each bramble nods as if to agree that its purpose for being is more than your poems, more than what I meant to say, as if the beginning never mattered, more substance given to what lies in between. And what lies in between feels coarser than words spoken, more trying than the discourse between the end and the middle of poetic words. The ones you once made reference to as pretentious, words brambled. If brambles were bookends, I could place a wreath adorned with blossoms, not toxic fragrance like Rappaccini's daughter exhaled, but fragrant like honeysuckle, dew of nymphs. Each blossom would enhance a bramble, expose its prickly fibers, tempt others to touch them. If brambles were bookends, your books, your words would be believed by every naysayer known. No matter what scorn one feels, it would be revealed in your words. One could drink from the cup of your poison nostalgia, interpret each phrase as a critique to live by, abhor the temptation that your bramble belies. I would return the 3 books. I would place them spine side in, revel in the fact that none of your words were anything but bumbling idolatry, admittance of your innermost phobia deserving of a shelf of scrub brush bramble. If brambles were bookends, I would dismantle the barbs, allow them and your books to fall away through the cracked, rotted floorboards to an eternal doom, the lost language of you. Her rain bows. Golden rays illuminate lost silence. Rain showers drip. Arcing across heaven, billowing white clouds collide, a rainbow smiles. Raindrops drench earth. Grasses emit perfumes, tropical and sweet. Voluptuous lilies color her world like rainbow beams. A latent star peers down to earth, arced rainbow dispersed. She only loves the rain when the sun shines. Illumination, one last ray. Blooms drink in twilight, passing rains. Upon her flesh reveal permanent, arced rainbow stains. Crushing the eyeliner, in reference to the band REM's song Crush with Eyeliner from their album titled Monster. REM refers to this chick as a sad tomato, not to be confused with a green tomato or rotten tomato, just sad, wearing eyeliner. Crush with eyeliner, which gives credence to sad tomato women that have those pretty outlined eyes. Yet I want to know, what is this chick's dilemma? Like it's this girl he has a crush on, walks 3 miles of bad road. What's with being stuck on a bad road? The dude is smitten, and no matter how she has invented herself, has he invented himself as a tomato craver? Time to go rescue her off that bad road. I'd like to think the scenario ends with red, ripe tomatoes crushing all over them like his love for her. And the eyeliner? It's intact like a charm. No forgetting. His tongue is his poetry. I remember when he spoke, there was no paper, no pen, no forgetting. His announcement of autumn described shadows, how the sun shone, created elongated angles different from summer. His recollection of a first snow, how snowflakes drift down to earth, how he explained that the snow was a blanket to cover Earth's nakedness. His long-winded description of Earth's inhabitants, how they stare, then retreat to their structure. Some have no shelter, always makes me self-aware of my own privilege. His ever fanciful yet intriguing lesson influenced the way I carried my emotion, the way I perceived what I used to not openly admit. My poetry benefited greatly from all that I borrowed from those days of his reckoning. The stage he built, his precipice, will be embedded forever in the mind of the girl he loves. So this one's a little racier. Citrus bomb. Oranges, lemons, limes, a peach squeezed, the palm of my hand dripping, my tongue salivating. Add seltzer, a scoop of cherry vanilla ice cream, and pulse at a low speed. Pour it into a vessel, placed to one's lips. Tongue and mouth welcome citrus tingle. It's inevitable lusciousness. It drips down the chin in rivulets to the décolleté until it seeps between the breasts, sticking to cleavage. A soft silk cloth with body soap is placed into the palm, gently caressing the skin, rinses and lifts the residual juices. Without you here to imbibe, I touch towel to skin. Imagine the delicacy of your tongue cleansing me. Chad, let me know how long I have. I'm not keeping track.
I understand.
Whitewash. Color splotches, drip, streak, dab. I watch a brush create. Your horizon where water and sky meet are more than a sunset, an embodiment of peace waiting for the night sky. I see strokes form, a couple standing on a stone bridge, embracing like they melted together there for eternity. An old farmhouse sits amidst pasture and creek, its crumbling chimney racked by the wind. One lit window glows peachy orange. Always your images progress like your painting titled Husband of Bryn Mawr. How this character's white windblown hair and flexed bicep reveal his years of labor, melancholy expression, lips slightly apart, teeth clenched. His hazel eyes affixed on his pasture. Your seaside landscapes are more than a brushstroke's caress. I feel the tides ebb and flow, granular sand in between my toes as paint touches canvas, moves the color like a swirling spoon, relocates cream in a cup of joe. I imagine the husband of Brinois displaced, sitting in the farmhouse, waving to me from the lit window. As the light dims, his hand disappears, all fades to gray. The last glimpses of a setting sun. Your stroke of whitewash blinds me, if only for seconds. I turn to find you are gone. I hang your paintings on my wall. TikTok, and this is spelled with a CK, not like the social media. Twisted twilight, tainted with thorns, pierces my skin. Blood pools, then drips. I've wondered where you've been. Mysterious man, all whiskers and words. I hear your indecipherable moan rise above a gravestone. Bend ear to earth, lush turf. Night crawlers squirm, haven for crows, dandelions and worms. Father, time, tick tock, whiskers, blood, thorns. Petals disclose, shadowy rose, left to repose. A single tear blows. The Tale of the South Sea. This is a quote from Moby Dick. Let me look into a human eye. It is better than to gaze into sea or sky, better to gaze upon God. Herman Melville. After the black nights and red days faded, he sought better, kept refuge here. Shipwrecked, he's washed ashore somewhere in the South Sea. He prays as if the eye of every storm held God in its pupil. He stares at the coastline, squints at the apparition, a naked woman, beautiful, alone, yet with child. He approaches slowly. She neither moves nor speaks. She does not breathe. It is better to gaze upon God, he thinks. Falling to his knees, he prays for another sunset, another sunrise, another fearless day of hope. Recompense. Collapsing into the valley, the last ray of sunlight illuminates, sparkles off quartz staircase, the one which beckons her to the ancient crypt where she descends for her morning, MOU, morning ritual. Like a trial, an interrogation, she feels wound up inside like a spring-loaded weapon waiting to explode. To eradicate hostile emotions, to relinquish angst, to feel justice for the wrong inflicted on her people, to set her spirit free, she kneels by the crypt, inscribed with family members' names. Wailing, she prays for the dead, their oppression she never witnessed. She reads the chronicles, imagines the treachery her ancestors endured. Dusk falls. Pained by her own vulnerability, she wipes away tears, gazes back at quartz staircase that ascends onto the grassy plain, then wanders back to the city of love. Calling card, and this is published in a goddess anthology by the Beat Poetry Foundation, because I think women get a little attitude about being a woman every once in a while. Calling card. William Wordsworth said, the world is too much with us. Am I too much for this world? Where integrity is written off as a misnomer, empathy a weakness, judicious thought a dream. I hide from the window's light as it passes through clear glass panes, allows my fleeting fancies to reflect, refract, refrain. Pure and unadulterated respect, will it be tolerated? Is there compromise in the name of kindness? These shoes we walk in, do they share a stranger's feet? A mile is not enough, a lifetime too long. Sensibility, is it treasured? Liability, is it cautionary? As we hang in the balance, shouldn't trust plus authenticity equal comfort? Blood flows like a rushing river through my veins during melt season. Am I here for a mission? Yes, if you listen closely, you can hear a subtle drip, like melting ice, like seeping red wine, like an enigmatic lilting voice. If the world and I are too much, may this be my calling card. Scepter, olive branch, an ancient exotic gilded trinket, excavated deep from a humble Egyptian goddess's tomb. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple like 1960 character poems. They're both pretty short. Andy. Andy, Andy, show me your groove. Andy, Andy, it's pop art you paint so indelibly cool. Campbell's tomato soup and Coca-Cola was your iconic claim to fame. Your paint splashes electrified Marilyn, Elizabeth, Mick Jagger, John Wayne, and that color burst from Mao Zedong. How could it be wrong? Andy, Andy, the factory made your legend grow. Andy, Andy, Studi 54 was all gaga over you. Andy, Andy, you survived that miserable bullet Valerie shot at you. Andy, Andy, some think you exploited commercialism because that looked good for you. I like to think you criticized materialism and celebrity as the 1960s embraced you. You're like a rainbow, so much hue. Andy, Andy, I wish you painted anything for me. Even one splash of love will do.
You want to you want to sum up with after this poem, you want to sum up with two killers to close it out?
Sure. Twiggy. Oh, Leslie Hornby, we love your name. AKA Twiggy gives you attention and fame. I buy a 3-ring binder emboldened with your visage. I stare at it every day. Those twigs you draw above your cheekbone and below your eyes, an iconic look that makes up your face. 3 layers of false eyelashes painted seems tame. Your Brit tongue and boyish hair drives us wild. You are the envy of every girl, child. Some say androgynous, yet I tend to disagree. Your slight figure becomes the rage. Your fame leaves you saner than sane. So much for modeling, you also act and sing. Your songs are of love. Your album, Romantically Yours, is my plug. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I feel like I'm celebrating the 4th of July with you. And my first Zoom, I was celebrating the first of the year. It was, I don't know, January 1st. So it's kind of cool to get all these holiday Zooms.
Awesome. You want to do one more?
Sure. See if I can maybe go in a different direction. All right, let's see here. It makes a hard one, you know. Now what do I do? All right, here's kind of I want to tell you a little bit, and I won't go on long. I was actually proctoring MCAS tests when I was working, and I was bored out of my cotton picking mind, but I had to be looking at the kids and making sure they were fine. This was back when it was on paper. So there's a whole pile of magazines off to the side, and at that time we could look at them as long as we were looking up. So a lot of this is paraphrased from many articles that I went through that day, but it kind of makes sense in the end. First prize. This month's all over. 50 Shades of Blue makes life sad in a peculiar way. Spent teacup, cream turned sour. His last brushstroke less pronounced than the ones before. What is my nostalgia going to consist of? Story grids, jazz, my rock garden's newfound weeds, original poems. I want proliferation of all that is right in the future. For now, modest growth is in order. I want to reproduce all of it. Would any joy become of puzzles, past, present, future? Hypothetically speaking, take the blue prize ribbon winner to the county fair, show it off like he did those copper color clapboards he stripped and painted, shutters all maroon and regal. He claims the shutters are sexy, shuts out our view or lets others see in. When downtown, I asked a passerby what kind of food he liked to cook. He answered, glazed duck. I smile while thinking about mallards floating in the pond next door. I replied, orange or raspberry glaze. It's the raspberry he likes. I pick wild raspberries each summer. Our emails exchanged for future culinary rendezvous. My bowl of berries overflows. Others simmer into syrup. I'm entering this batch of jam in the county fair, all maroon and regal. I bet I'll win. Thank you. Been fun.
And give it up for Linda Wlodyka. Thank you so much. And can you provide a link as to where your book's available to purchase? Is it
Yeah, it's see the Barnes and Noble one that's in there now, and
Oh, okay.
there's an Amazon one. Yeah,
All right. I will
you have to cut and paste it because it's not, it's not
well,
hyperlinked.
I understand. I'll link it before I leave tomorrow when I post a photo and I actually get the video of this up tomorrow.
Yeah, and then
I'll be-
I have the honor to read with, many of you know him. I don't know if everybody does. Paul Richmond. He
Oh,
was a
nice.
poet laureate of Massachusetts. He was a poet laureate of the United States, and now they have an award where you can be a lifetime beat poet of the United States. So you
I
have to
saw
be,
that.
you really are got to be a very active person. And for those of you, you may have had him on here. Mark Lipman went
Hmm.
directly to the Beat Poet Laureate of the United States, but I guess he was very well known and he got a lot of people saying his name for that. So, because I said to someone who mentioned that, I said, well, don't you start out as a Massachusetts Beat Poet Laureate, and then if they deem you and they said, not necessarily. It depends on how well known you are. Not that I'm vying for any of that. I was very shocked and impressed to get anything ever. So,
Don't forget my buddy Chris Vinoy, who was beat poet laureate for California, and I don't know if he got U.S. or not, but
no, he is lifetime.
yeah, he's great. And by the way, you should have him on your as a feature, Chad.
Oh yeah. The
Hmm.
guy's voice, I don't know what it is. I could listen to him all day. It's just like, I don't know, it's calming or something. And he memorizes everything. And he's not like real young either. Like he's got the stuff to memory. And I'm like, wow. John, does he have lots and lots of poems to memory?
I don't know. He's got kind of his favorites.
Yeah,
That
he does
that
like
he
three or
does.
four or five of
Yeah,
them every time I see him. They're the same ones, but they're so fantastic. You don't mind hearing them all.
yeah, yeah. The ones that I like are his more surreal stuff that maybe aren't the ones that he reads so much. But
Yeah.
I think I've known him for 20 years or so.
Well, I
So
think he reads at the Beat Poetry Festival, which is a Labor Day weekend. Often poets will read poems about poets and celebrating poets because that's the kind of venue it is.
yeah.
But you should hook up with Chad and give him, if Chris is okay with you giving out his info.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure if we could get Chris a reading, I'm sure he'd be happy to do it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Linda. And
Okay.
that was fantastic. We'll definitely grab a copy of the book. I'll spread the word online. Check out the Stone Soup video of this will be on YouTube, the official
Okay.
one. Hopefully it'll probably be earlier by 7 tomorrow because I have places to not be and places online to not be. So,
Patricia has her hand up,
oh, Patricia, yes.
but
You need,
she's muted, so we can't hear
You're
her.
muted, Patricia.
No, I'm not, no, I'm just waving my hand.
oh, okay.
Hi.
There you go. Next week we'll have it off, but then on Monday, not Monday, Wednesday the 17th. Give me a second. And hopefully I'll get the video up to the flyer out tonight. We'll see how it goes. We have Gabby Gilliam featuring, and we still need a closer for July, so hopefully I'll hear from them, and we'll go from there. But this is an excellent feature tonight, Linda. I'm so glad we got you, and I can't wait to take a look at the book.
Well, thank
It's a
you.
collector's
I
item
appreciate
alone
you
because
getting.
of John Wesseck's intro. No, his blurb. No, there you
Well,
go.
you can ask him who wrote a blurb in his book if you feel like it.
There you go. Well, thank you all
Yeah,
very much.
the seedy
Oh,
underbelly of the publishing world.
it's all
But once
fake.
you really appreciate people's work, these are the people you go to,
It's all favors. It's all quarters and
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese tokens exchanged in dark alleyways. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Linda, very much for being a feature. And thanks to everyone for showing up tonight. I hope you are all here the next time we gather, or at least at some point during the summer and the rest of the year coming up, both fiscal and calendar. So thank you guys. Thank you very much again. We do the obligatory wave. So I have a photo for for tomorrow morning. And more will be announced on stonespeakpoetry.blogspot.com, and hopefully some calls for submissions I'll have scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. Other than that, it's anyone's guess when you'll see me again or where I'll pop up. So I hope you guys hold down the online Facebook group without me, and
Don't get eaten by a bear, Chad.
Have a good vacation. Chad, it sounds like you need a well-deserved vacation. Have a good time.
Enjoy. Brownstone Poets is on hiatus. I'm tired until September 21st.
It was a long June, and it's gonna be a good time to unplug at least partially. But I got work to do before that, so I am heading out. We will reconvene on the 17th. Tell a friend, spread the word. Can be like this every time. All we need is you. Have yourselves an excellent evening and take care. Or as I like to say, show's over.
Enjoy,
See you next
Chad.
time.
Bye. Thank you.